Well, it looks so threatening, but the danger averted. Good tackle taken away. Mohamed. She has options. Can they forge ahead? Goal! What a massive goal at that!
They're pressing. Constant press. Oh, play him wide. Just keep going. Dribble it. Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably get it. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful pass. Let's go. The cross. Dude, I'm telling you, if you just time it and I'm making that run, it's almost unstoppable. They're done.
Oh my gosh.
What's happening, everyone? This is Lesky here, back to another FIFA 22 Pro Clubs player build. And in this video, we're going to be going over this fullback build, which a few of y'all actually requested in my comments. Y'all wanted to see a build that could be used in a 3 in the back or 5 in the back formation as like a wingback or an attacking fullback. So I created this fullback build for you guys, tested it out in a 3 in the back formation, and it actually worked very well for me. It had a lot of success. This is just an extremely solid build and a well-rounded build at that, which is kind of what you'd expect for a attacking fullback slash wingback build. You'd expect the build to be well-rounded and pretty much do everything when it comes to like the pace, the attacking, some physical ability, good defending, and like dribbling and passing. All that stuff is what you'd expect as a wingback build, because you're going to be going up on offense and on defense. So you need to be extremely well-rounded, which is what we made sure we did with this build. So let's get this build video started and let's talk about the height and weight and then move on to the perks and the skill tree. So as you can see, looking at the position for this build, I'm actually listed as a right back instead of a wingback for this wingback build, because right backs in pro clubs are actually better than wingbacks playing in a wingback position or like in a left mid, right mid for position for like a 3 in the back, because there's multiple reasons why. I would say the right backs actually have better shooting when it comes to like shot power and long shots, a good amount, which is quite nice to have the improved shooting, especially if you're going to be going forward and scoring and having a lot of chances on goal. Then it's quite nice to improve the shooting, which fullbacks have better shooting than wingbacks. And then also it says the wingbacks have better dribbling, but if you go in and look at it, the fullbacks actually have better agility and balance, which is more important than like the actual dribbling or ball control stat. So I think fullbacks are better when it comes to dribbling, and then they also have more defending and honestly maybe even a little bit more physicals. Like the only thing that wingbacks have mainly over fullbacks is maybe a little bit more passing and mostly just pace, a bit more pace. But I don't really think that pace is going to make too much of a difference. I think you would just rather go for the fullbacks because they have a bit better dribbling and mostly just better shooting, which helps for this attacking fullback build. And that's basically why I decided to make this build at right back over a wingback. The wingbacks really just have more pace, and that's about it. So honestly, in my opinion, I think right backs are actually better than right wingbacks when it comes to playing in a 3 in the back formation, and honestly just in general. Like even if you're playing in a 4 in the back formation and wanting to make just a outside back build, I think right backs or left backs would be better than a left wing back or right wing back. So that's basically why I decided to make this build a right back. And then when it comes to the height and weight, I decided to go a little bit on the higher side. This is kind of preference, but I'll say the reason why I went for 6'2" other than like 6 foot, 5'10" or like 5'8", as you can see, like the stats change a bit. When you go shorter, the pace is a little bit better, but when it comes to physicals and also when it comes to shooting, going taller is actually a lot better because you'll have more shot power and I believe even more long shots, but mostly just because of shot power, and that's really important for helping finishing your chances. So that's why it just makes it more of an attacking wingback build when you have more shot power and just better shooting in general on the build. So if you want better shooting on this build and you're going to go forward a lot with this build and think you're going to have a lot of shooting chances, it's best to go a bit taller. So I decided to go 6'2". And then the same thing when it comes to weight. I didn't go completely skinny and go 119. I decided to go 149 for the same reason. It just gives you more shot power and long shots, just better shooting stats, and also a little bit better physical, but it also you lose a little bit of pace, but we still have 90 pace on this build, and I think that's good enough for this wingback build. And one thing that I haven't mentioned is that for the height, like you could be 6'7" for a fullback build, and you'll have the exact same agility and balance as a 5'3" build. I know not all the positions are like that, but I thought that was pretty interesting for a fullback. So that's another one of the reasons why I decided to go on the taller side for this build. So now let's take a look at the perks that we have for this build. And for the first perk on this build, we decided to go for physical strength. I put this on a lot of my builds. It just increases your strength, ball control, and jumping when jostling, shielding, or heading the ball. And the physical attributes on a fullback or even a wingback build, their physical attributes are just not very good to start with. So this will just help it increase it a bit more. And I actually got a good amount of header goals with this build, like off of corners and crosses, because you have some height, and then with the physical strength increasing your jumping, it's actually pretty good. Like the heading actually is not the greatest, but the aerial threat prowess is kind of there, and you can actually get your head on a lot of the crosses and set pieces and even score some goals, even though the heading actually is not the greatest. And it's also helpful to have this perk on when it comes to like dribbling. It'll be harder for people to bump you off the ball. And same thing when it comes to defense. It'll be easier for you to bump people off the ball and body them, which I'll probably have a few situations that I can show you guys. A lot of the smaller builds, you can kind of just body them. Even though your strength isn't crazy, like on the physical page, this physical strength perk and just like your height and weight, the body type that you have, you can actually body a lot of the smaller builds with this build. And for the second perk, we went for pinpoint cross, and I think this is kind of obvious for a wingback build. You're going to be playing on the outsides mostly. You're not going to be going inside too much, so you're going to be having a lot of instances where you're going to need to cross the ball in, and just having the pinpoint cross will increase your crossing accuracy a lot. It'll also give you the swerve, flare, and early crosser trait, which the early crosser trait is very good for just crossing the ball in the box. It can really just whip the ball in the box and make it just impossible for like the keeper or the defenders to get to it. It'll curl with that swerve trait, and it'll just curl right to one of your forwards running into the box. So if you can take advantage of that early crosser trait and just the increased crossing of the pinpoint crosser perk, it's very nice. And then also you don't have to worry about what foot you're crossing the ball with. Even though you have a weak foot on this build, you can just cross it with the weak foot because it doesn't matter. You have the 5-star weak foot automatically with this pinpoint crossing perk. And then lastly, for the third perk, I actually tried two perks. I tried two different setups with this build for the third perk. At first, I tried the skilled dribbler just because the dribbling stat on the dribbling page for fullbacks isn't the greatest. It's a little bit lower than ball control. So I decided to add the skilled dribbler just to give you the flare trait and also just increase your dribbling attribute. But I ran into situations where I really needed the one-time shot to finish a lot of my chances, just one-time shots. And then also when it comes to headers, like I mentioned, since you're kind of tall, it'll actually increase your finishing on one-time shots, and that actually counts for headers as well. But it'll also give you the power header trait. So it'll make your headers have a lot more shot power on them, and it'll be a lot harder for keepers to save them. Even though your heading actually isn't that great on this build, having the power header, it'll kind of just overpower the goalie, even though it might just go like right over their head or like to the side of them. The power header will just overpower them, and they won't be able to have enough time to react to the shot. So that's why I have one-time shot, just because this is an attacking build and you're going to be going forward a lot and maybe getting a lot of goal scoring chances. And I just think it's clutch that you can have this one-time shot perk on, and also it'll increase your weak foot on one-time shots, so you don't have to worry too much about your weak foot. It'll increase your weak foot 1-star level. But I guess if y'all are not going to be going in the box too much or getting too many scoring chances with this build, maybe y'all don't want this, but I just assume since if you're going to be playing as a wingback with this build in a 3-in-the-back formation or 5-in-the-back formation, you'll be going forward quite a bit, and this could be pretty helpful. But if y'all don't want this, y'all could take this off, maybe add tireless runner, which I don't think is too necessary. We actually have a lot of stamina on this build. Skilled dribbler, like I said, maybe active first touch, or another one of these passing perks, possibly even ball winner. You kind of have some options when it comes to the third perk, but again, I decided to go for the one-time shot for the third perk, as well as the pinpoint cross and the physical strength. So now let's take a look at the skill tree for this build. Starting with this physical page, we have a decent amount of skill points here. We went for the acrobat archetype mostly to get that stamina increase, because you need a lot of stamina as a wingback. You're going to be sprinting up and down the field to try and get forward to help on attack, and then track back on defense to prevent the counter and just get back in position to help out on defense. So the stamina increase of the acrobat archetype is quite nice. It'll get us to a total of 89 stamina, and it'll actually upgrade our jumping, which is pretty good since the jumping is not very good to start with for fullback build. So now we have 72 jumping, and then remember we have the physical strength perk, which actually increases our jumping and strength even more than it actually says on this skill tree. And then on this left side, we just got this +2 strength for 1 skill point, and then we got this +3 stamina for 2 skill points to get us to that 89 stamina. And we only have 69 strength, but remember we have the physical strength perk to increase it. It would be kind of nice to get this, but we just don't have enough skill points to actually get this extra strength. So we just kind of had to leave that off and settle with the physical attributes that we have right here. So now let's head over to the defending page. We got 3 things on this defending page. We got this extra stand tackle right here, +2 stand tackle for 1 skill point. Then we made sure to get this +2 interceptions for 1 skill point, and then +4 defensive awareness for 2 skill points. So it's all really cheap. This is only 4 skill points combined for a lot of upgrades to the defensive side. And we actually have pretty good defensive ability. Remember, this is a attacking fullback wingback build, so we're not going to be focusing on defense too much, but we still have well-rounded defensive stats. Everything is 80 or higher: 80 interceptions, 86 defensive awareness, 80 stand tackle, and 82 slide tackle. So the defensive ability on this build is quite nice. You can lock down an entire side of the field, and it's going to be hard for the other team to dribble by you. And now let's move on over to dribbling, where I decided to go for the 4-star skills. Since this is an attacking fullback build, it's quite nice to have some sort of skill moves and be able to wriggle away from the defender, get a cross off, get a shot off, whatever it may be. I really like skills, so I decided to go for the 4. I didn't go for the 5 on this build, just not enough skill points for that. Otherwise, I may have, but I just went for the 4. For some of y'all that might not use the 4-star skills, just go for the 3-star. And then you could use the rest of those skill points, maybe increase the dribbling even more, get some balance, or get that strength that I was saying on the physical page, or possibly increase the shooting or passing. It's kind of up to you guys what you want to do with this extra skill points. But for me, I went for the 4-star skills, and I utilized those a lot, and they came in very clutch for me. And then looking at the rest of this dribbling page, we went for the Lynx archetype, got this agility right here, it's +3 agility, and then got this Lynx archetype, which will get us 85 agility and 80 balance for a 6'2 fullback build, which is actually really solid. And then dribbling and ball control, we have 80 dribbling and 85 ball control. And this is kind of why I mentioned why I was initially using the skilled dribbler perk, just for the increase of dribbling, since we only have 80 dribbling. But that's kind of what we just have to settle for. You can't make it much better unless you go for the Maestro archetype, which is way too much skill points. So we have to settle for the 80 dribbling and 85 ball control, which really isn't too bad. I thought the dribbling felt pretty nice on this build. Now with the passing page, we just have one thing on this page where we just really had 1 extra skill point. We had nowhere to put it, and we really just had to put it on this short passing for +2 short pass for 1 skill point. And then really the only attribute that's crazy good on this page is the crossing, and also because we have the pinpoint cross, so it's actually going to increase the crossing even more than what it's actually saying here. So the crossing's around like probably 90, maybe even more. The crossing ability on the build is very nice on this fullback build, but all the other passing attributes aren't too much to shout about. Long passing's not too great to start with. Even if we tried upgrading it, it wouldn't be that great. Short passing is decent, I guess, but really what's important is the crossing for this wingback build. And that's also kind of why I suggested, if you didn't want the one-time shot, if you don't think you're going to be going up too much and using the one-time shot perk, maybe adding like the through ball perk or the precision pass perk to increase the passing even more. That could be a good option instead of that third perk. So now let's take a look at the shooting page, where we had to go for some shooting increases, just because to start with, as a fullback, even the wingbacks, these shooting stats are just not very good. And it's so weird to me that fullbacks have actually better shooting attributes than actual wingbacks. It doesn't really make sense, but I don't know. We just have to deal with it, and that's literally the main reason why I decided to make this a fullback build over an actual wingback build. So we get these 6 things right here. This long shot and shot power, and this other long shot and shot power to get us to 76 shot power and 80 long shots. And then these other 3 are really just increasing the finishing and volleys, which will get us up to 77 finishing, which actually isn't too bad for a fullback build in my opinion, and then 75 volleys. And the shooting stats are pretty well rounded, nothing crazy, but you wouldn't expect anything crazy as a fullback, but it's better than what it would be as a wingback. That's the truth. And yeah, this is really it. I did have some chances that I probably should have finished if I had better shooting attributes, but what can you do? A lot of them I did finish, and I was quite surprised I actually went in. So I was kind of surprised when it came to the finishing ability on this build. It was better than I thought it would be. And what would really be ideal for this build is actually getting the finisher archetype, increasing all the shooting attributes even more, getting +5 finishing, +5 shot power, +6 long shots, +3 volleys, and then really increasing those shooting attributes. That would be quite nice. But if it's even possible, I think that's actually a good option to get the finisher archetype. That's what I would go for if I had enough skill points, but I really don't know if it's possible. And now to the last page, which is pace. We went for the full pace upgrade, and for the full pace upgrade, we get 90 pace exactly, 90 acceleration, and 90 sprint speed at 6'2", 149 pounds. Keep in mind, if you were to go a little bit shorter or go completely the lowest weight possible, then you would be a bit faster, but I don't really think you're going to notice too much of a difference. And I think 90 acceleration and 90 sprint speed is definitely good enough for this wingback build. The pace is solid, and you really shouldn't have any problem when it comes to the pace department in this build. And that's going to do it for this fullback build. Please let me know in the comments if you do give this build a try, how you liked it. And I'll also be coming out with another fullback build that's more defensive minded, more of a fullback build that you'd use in a 4 in the back formation, where you're not going to be going forward too much, just trying to lock down the wingers and just play defense. It's going to be a defensive minded fullback build. So stay tuned for that if y'all are interested in that type of build. That'll be coming out soon. And if y'all could hit that like button on this video and hit that subscribe button on my channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you guys for watching. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's day, and peace out.